Right, welcome to episode 2 of the Black Label Bodybulding Podcast. Today I'm joined by probably the biggest man I've ever stood beside in real life, which is Adam Harding. How are you getting on?
I'm not bad, mate. You?
Yeah, all good here. I thought the first question, to give some context to people at home, is just the record. How tall are you and how much do you weigh at the moment?
I'm about somewhere between 6'4" and 6'5". Current weight is coming down at the moment, so I'm lighter. I'm only about 21 stone at the moment.
What's that in pounds? What?
Maybe just under 300.
That's coming down. Okay, cool. Yeah, so you are a very big man. I guess the first thing I kind of wanted to kind of talk about is like what is life like at 300 pound, 6'5"? Like, just yeah, everyday living. Are you one of these people that struggles to put your shoes on and that kind of thing?
Well, at the moment, no. I think the heaviest I've been is about 320. And at 320, sometimes I did have to get my girlfriend to put my socks on for me. And shit like that. And I remember actually, it was one time, we were going to a wedding, and obviously shirts and everything else was tighter, and I got dressed, and I said, I can't put my fucking shoes on. I couldn't bend down to put my shoes on, so she had to put my shoes on. Height-wise, like, I'm probably just on the verge of being too tall that it'd be a problem, if you know what I mean. Like, some houses, if I go in, I do need to duck, but most houses are fine. Like cars are alright, but smaller cars no. So it's probably just on the verge of being annoying, to be honest. Any taller would be.
Aye, no, I can completely imagine that. I mean, you must easily be one of the tallest guys on the UK circuit at the moment. I mean, there's a few ones out there, but there's not
Yeah.
many. There's not many.
There's not many tall bodybuilders because it takes that long to fill out the frame, doesn't it, and not look wanky.
Aye, I mean, it's a hard enough sport as it is, but yeah, that's just making it harder for yourself. But, you know, when you do, it looks even that more freaky, right? Because you dwarf people who aren't even short, which
Yeah,
is pretty cool.
definitely.
Um, aye, so you're a very heavily tattooed man. You keep getting more tattoos, right? I saw was it the head that you got recently?
Yeah, I got both sides of my head. I got filled in by Gaz a few weeks ago now.
Aye,
Um,
did you get all the stuff off him?
So Gaz has done a couple of bits on my head, side of my face, my hand. The rest mostly was done by Scoobs. It's Gaz was Scoobs' apprentice basically, so she's done most of the rest of my stuff.
Aye, all that stuff looks they've got a really cool style of how they do it. Do you find people treat you in a certain way when you're that massive and covered in tattoos?
Yes, well, not
Aye,
necessarily treat me. I don't know about treat me differently, but like I can't go to Tesco without people staring at me. Um,
aye,
and generally, I do get a lot of comments at times, and with my work, obviously, I'm in a lot of people's houses all the time, and it's to be
aye.
fair, it's not as bad. I probably thought it would be worse before, like I got my head done. I thought it maybe isn't a good idea with work, but it's actually not that bad, and quite a lot of old women like it. You would think they'd be scared of me, but they find it
Aye.
fascinating.
I think it's one of these things where as soon as you start chatting to them, I'm sure they calm down and remember that you're a fucking normal person. But
Yeah.
I'm thinking, I think I might get my neck or throat done next. That's definitely at that point where people are gonna have some assumptions about you.
hmm
It's bad enough getting your hand, but
Yeah.
that's like the next step. Not
The throat is where I went after the sleeve, and then it's all downhill for there. It's where do you stop?
Yeah, exactly. Well, for me, it's like I'm trying not to like cover too much of my body yet. I think I'll do that once I decide to pack in the bodybuilding. But you know, no one's judging your neck, are they? So yeah,
No,
it's
well,
fine.
it's something I thought about, but I just kind of got carried away, to be honest with you.
Aye. So
Uh,
when you compete, are you use like, do you have to do a certain tanning protocol to cover that up?
the best thing is the dream tan.
Aye.
Like if you're heavily tattooed, there's nothing else really, because like obviously some do these tattoo cover products, but they never seem to come out very well. The high definition, etc. So like a well done dream tan is the best option. Obviously, it's no good for tuberose. So
Aye. That
it's
was going
some.
to be the next question is, is your goal, do you want it, because you've done, I've seen you do like a bunch of PCA and obviously done really well
Mhm.
there. Is your goal to stay in PCA or do you want to go to two bros?
So I mean, I think you need to try the tuberose, don't you? It's
Nah,
I mean, I've heard a lot of things. Nobody speaks particularly highly of the shows being that good, as in terms of running, etc. If you know what I mean. But I think if you're going to test yourself, you need to try two bros.
yeah,
So my
100%.
plan this year is to try a two bros. So we need to figure something out with the tan. We've got some ideas, but I mean, it's just probably going to involve trying to get as dark as I can and cover as much as I can. Um,
I've heard of some people doing like a kind of thin layer of dream tan on that like two bros don't notice kind of thing, but it's obviously a bit risky.
I've heard of this various things, and as you say, it's a bit risky. So I'm probably just gonna try and do some sunbeds and get a nice dark base, and then just load up.
As hammer them on the tan, you'll be fine.
Exactly, that's the plan. I'll probably
Um,
soon.
well, yeah. So, you said you're coming down, obviously. So, is that you in prep at the moment?
Yes, I am. I've been on prep for a few weeks. I don't know exactly how many. So I am currently in prep. Yes.
Right. So, what timelines are you working towards at the moment?
So it'll be tail end of the year basically. The aim will be British, basically.
Yeah.
As I say, I'm going to give two bros a go. So obviously, I'll do a qualifier, and we'll see how that goes with the tan, etc. If I'm happy with how I looked, and but if I don't think that we can do something to cover the tattoos, it's going to make it worth it, then I won't bother with two bros British, and I'll just do PCA British. Probably hoping, if things go well, to do both. I know they're in the same weekend, which makes it a bit tricky, but that's kind of the ultimate plan for this year. But we'll see.
I did. I did the. I did NABA and PCA this year, but
Hmm.
back to back, and it was interesting. It was interesting. I was definitely driving home from NABA. I was like, why the fuck have I signed up to do the PCA the next day? But it was fine once I was there and that. But I mean, Kirsty has she was we were sitting in the car before PCA. Had just been tanned and like in that had gone and picked something up, and she took off sitting beside me and took a picture. Like she like we know what girls are like
Hmm.
doing a selfie, and sent a message. Like she was messaging her mum or something, being like, "Oh, we're ready to get on stage." And she turned around, and I was just completely asleep. I was awake like 3 seconds early, and was completely crashed. But nah, the adrenaline dump you get after it is good, and it'll all be worth it. Um, so yeah, PCA and two bros. So how obviously you were going to prep last year,
Hmm.
right? But you had the bicep tear.
Yeah.
Um,
So I think it actually got to roughly probably about this point of prep last year when I tore the bicep. Um, I tried to push on, but it was having too much an effect. It was my entire left side, like my shoulder, my tricep, and everything was all starting to flatten off, and it was getting more noticeable. So there wasn't really an option other than to pull out.
was it a full tear? Or is it like a partial one?
Nah, so it was never a full tear. It was just physio basically said I just tore some fibres off the tendon. So, but it took probably till after Christmas to heal before I was getting no
Yeah,
pain in that arm at all. And I mean, for months I was curling like fucking 8 or 9 kilos. That was all I
uh,
could do to not be in like a lot of pain.
uh,
So it was quite a problem for what wasn't even a full tear.
So I mean, I guess the good thing of that is that it hasn't changed how your bicep looks, right?
It's you or anyone else probably wouldn't notice. I notice it's slightly shorter than it was before, but
Yeah.
no one else would probably notice. No.
Yeah, I mean, you hear loads of stories about guys who tear their biceps and they actually think it looks better afterwards.
Mm-hmm.
But I'd rather not. That doesn't sound.
No, they don't really want to find
Nah,
out.
nah, definitely not.
No.
So yeah, so how is prep going? Like, has it been smooth sailing so far?
Um, I mean, the fact that we had to throw in Brad's stag do and going to Prague a few weeks ago wasn't ideal, but
Um,
as I said to him, I couldn't not go, so I had to take obviously 3 days off the diet when we were in Prague, but it was early enough in my prep not really to matter. So far, other than nearly breaking my ankle the other day, it's been alright.
you're posting some of those photos that looked absolutely brilliant. What did you do?
So I was just walking the dog, and I went over on my ankle. But it felt like it popped out and popped back in. But I don't know. I didn't go to hospital or anything. I just carried on. But it's still pretty sore now. I'm imagining I've just damaged tendons and stuff, but
Yeah.
I'm still able to get my steps in, do my cardio, kind of training legs. It's no ideal, but
Did I see you went and trained legs after it?
I trained legs the next day. Yes.
Yeah, that'll have helped a lot. And
Aye.
I've seen your leg workouts as well. They're not ones to do with a fucked ankle.
Well, I had to adapt my session quite a bit, go quite a bit lighter, and do a bit more volume than we normally did. But I was just happy I could do. I thought I'd go in and do leg extension, maybe some hammy curls, and go home. But I managed to get a session out of it. So
Yeah, once you're there, you know, I guess it depends on what kind of a person you are, but I know that I wouldn't be able to go in and just do some leg extensions and hamstring curls. As much you tell
no,
yourself that.
no, and I
No.
refused to pull out 2 years in a row. So I just need to get on with it.
Aye, yeah, no, I totally get that. So before, given that you came off the injury, did you get much of like a proper off season in, or you chilling out a
Not
bit?
really, to be honest, because after the injury, we decided to. The plan was basically we thought we'll diet down and we'll catch the rebound out the other side of it, which coincided with me going on holiday, so it was fine. But then I also decided that I was going to get gyno surgery. So when I came back from my holiday, it was probably only a couple of months till I was due to get the gyno surgery, so there was no point really trying to push my body weight up too much. Plus, I was due a break from gear, so I think by the time obviously I had the gyno surgery, so I had a few weeks off training. So I probably got from maybe February until I started prep, really trying to push. But it wasn't that productive a push either, because obviously when I was off with the gyno surgery, I put on more fat than I would like to have, to be honest, which took away a bit of the productivity for the off season. So we got a little bit, but not much.
Do you? So I think you. I mean, I've seen you that you do stay pretty lean even when you're fucking huge. Is that? I take it that's quite an intentional thing, right? I know Brad. I've seen Brad post about it as well that he doesn't like people just getting fat, right? So how important do you think that is?
I mean, I guess I wouldn't even say I'm that intentional in trying to stay lean. Like, Brad doesn't like it. I'm kind of lucky in that I don't really get that fat. My food can go pretty high. Well, my food has to go pretty high, to be fair. Um, so, but there's no point putting on unnecessary fat. I think sometimes there's something to be said for having maybe one or two big off seasons where you really push the body weight up, but it's. I mean, for me, the weights I'm going to reach if I was to try and do something like that, it's how productive would it be? Because how good's my breathing going to be if I'm like 330, 340 and being able to do a full set before I'm blown out my arse? So,
Absolutely. I'm actually gonna quickly bring up your Instagram just so people can see what I'm I'm talking about here. Let's see if this works. Right, just so people can quite appreciate how much of a unit you are, the unit of flex, right? It's heavy duty code. So you say obviously you're saying that you stay pretty lean. When you started off, were you like a skinny guy, or what was your starting position before bodybuilding?
I was very skinny, lanky. I think I started going to the gym when I was like 19 or something. Obviously, I didn't know what I was doing, but I wasn't much over like 11 stone. Maybe 11 and a half, 12 at a push. Like, I was very lanky. Right, there's a picture of
There's a
that.
picture. I
Yeah.
mean, you can see there's the muscle bellies and that for the chest is like there,
hmm
but I mean, fucking hell, mate. Yeah, it's so how to explain in in the shortest, not the shortest, but like without fucking being here for years.
hmm
How did you go from this to this? Because that's pretty mental.
I mean, to be honest, probably for like the first 5 years, I didn't have a clue what I was doing. I thought I was just eating like peanut butter sandwiches and pasta, thinking I'd get massive. Uh, and obviously, because I was new to it, I did put on a bit of weight. I went quite quickly up to like 15 stone. And then I think it was 20. When was it? 2014. I maybe got involved with a coach. I decided to do a show. And then, but probably still really wasn't doing things properly till 2016 when I started with Brad. And it's just like, it's a lot of food, mate. Like, a lot
Yeah.
of food.
Did you get soft in that time, or was it just? I think there's obviously a genetic part of you staying lean.
The
Um,
softest I ever got was probably the first time I hit 300, which was actually during a brief time I was coached by Dave Crossland. And there's a picture floating about where I was quite fucking hamster cheeked. Like, I don't like
uh,
to look back at that one, but every now and again Brad throws it at me. So
it's like the story of my life, right?
Mhm.
How was it working with Dave Crosland? I mean, I've always really rated Dave. I think he's a smart man, but he's not too smart for his own good.
He's
Like,
very smart. He is,
yeah,
to be fair. I worked. I can't remember how long I worked with him, but it wasn't. It was maybe for less than a year anyway. Because the plan, he doesn't. Well, I think he started prepping folk now, but back then he didn't. So the plan was always to go back to Brad for a prep. So it was just a case of I went to Dave to see how big he could get me. So that was what
got you
we done to him.
£300.
I'm
Got
at
you 300.
300,
So yeah,
300. That was the first time I hit £300. A bit
did,
fat.
was it harder the first time than it is now? Because I mean, you're dieting now and you're not far off it.
No, well, obviously now I can sit at £300 quite easily. A lot leaner now at that weight as well.
Yeah.
Uh,
Are you having to push? Like, did you have to push harder then, or are you actually on more food now? Because I mean, you'll be a leaner 300. Um,
see, I never really know what my food sat at because Brad's always just sends me a diet and I eat it, and Dave was pretty much the same. I never really worked out my calories. I do remember at points with Dave, where like post workout, I was eating an entire malt loaf. That was fun, like eating a
just the
brick.
whole,
The whole
just the whole
thing,
thing.
aye, in one go. And actually, when I went back to Brad, he carried it on for a while. So he
Nice.
did. But Dave did push the food quite hard, to be fair, but so is Brad. So I don't know
Yeah.
which is worse.
I mean, you've obviously, I mean, you've got to push food at that size. I saw you on Instagram the other day, kind of posting some of your food, or your meal plan, and it was like around training, you have quite, like Pop Tarts and muffins and that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Um, do is that Brad just being like wants to have simple sugars around training, or is it like you saying, look, there's only so much chicken and rice you're gonna eat, you need some like something dense?
A bit of both, I think, to
Yeah.
be honest. Um, Aye, a bit of both. The muffins have come out now actually, and the Pop Tarts have been reduced as we go down. So, but I'm oats and everything else with the Pop Tarts and the pre-meal. So it's something more dense to get in quickly, and obviously, as you say, the simple sugars before I train.
Do you do you enjoy eating it, or is it, even though I mean, a Pop Tart's nice, right? But like, there's only so many Pop Tarts you want to eat. Is there any
Well,
joy left in it?
there was a point where, in terms of Pop Tarts, I was eating 2 before I trained, and then 4 after I trained. So that got old very quickly.
Yeah,
Very quickly.
inexpensive Pop Tarts
They
are.
are quite. I've been eating the Pikey Aldi ones for a while now.
I've eyed them up. Like,
They're
I'll
actually not bad. I quite like them.
make them a bash up. Sometimes I'll do one post workout at the moment, but no, not 4 anyway. That's for sure. Not yet. Or
No.
I'll be full blown hamster cheeks in no time. Um, aye, so how long have you been working with Brad?
So me and Brad started in 2016. Obviously, as I mentioned, I had the brief break where I went to Dave, but consistently trained with Brad since about 26. Maybe it was maybe 2017 before we started training together. But he's coached me since 2016. Aye.
And how did that like happen? Was it through training? Was Flex, did Flex exist at that point?
No, so Flex. Well, I got in Brad with contact. It was a guy I worked with that knew Brad, and I think they ended up talking to me, and Brad had said that to the guy I worked with that he would coach me type thing. So I messaged Brad, and then I think Flex was 2017, and he asked me to do the electrical work in it for him, and then it was kind of after that when Flex opened, we started training together.
Because I mean, I've seen you guys. Obviously, I trained out of Flex for one of my preps, and then still try and get through when I can. But I mean, the traffic from Leith is just fucking just not a good time.
Yeah, it's
Um,
not.
yeah, no, but I like that your training is. I liked watching it, right? Because it's like some Ronnie Coleman fucking mental stuff. Did you always train like that before training with Brad, or is that like him getting that out of you?
To be honest, when I was younger, I tried a lot of shit that I just found on the internet. And I used to be one of them that I thought you had to change your training every now and again to give your body a shock and all that shit. And then obviously, the way that Brad trains is the way I prefer to train. Like, I don't like to follow a training program. It fucking bores me. And I get bored of training if I'm going and I'm like, I've got to do 3 sets of this for fucking 10 reps. I don't like that. So although we kind of do a lot of the same stuff most of the time we're in, there's never really a set way, if that makes sense. So we kind of go by feel a wee bit.
Aye,
And
so so if you're going by feel, is it like is it even structured to the point of we're going to do this many exercises, or is it genuinely just like let's just see how it goes?
we generally, like, our core exercises kind of stay the same. So, but sometimes it'll just be like Brad will turn to me and he'll be like, "One more, you had enough." You know what I mean? Is that enough? It is a lot of time just by feel, but it's very similar most of the time,
Aye.
really.
No, I think that's I think that's good to hear. You know, I've gone back to training how I enjoy training, and
Mm-hmm.
it's a lot nicer. But it's not how you spend too much time on Instagram, right? You don't think anyone trains like that, because it's all perfect reps nowadays.
Mm-hmm.
Um, how Aye, so I think it's good for people to hear from someone who is genuinely massive that you don't have a logbook, you don't really have anything other than just you know that you're going to go in and trash yourself on hard stuff.
I've done the logbook. I don't like it.
Aye,
Like, it's too easy to cheat a logbook, I think, if you know what I mean. You could cheat an extra rep, but does it really count as beating the week before?
yeah,
Do you know what I mean? Unless
Yeah,
you're, and I don't like if you're doing, then you need to standardise your reps if you're really seeing if you're progressing. Like I know roughly what I've lifted the week before on my main lifts, if that makes sense. I don't need a logbook to tell me.
aye,
So what's the point?
so uh, I know there's a lot of, from what I've seen anyway, it looks like a lot of training to failure. Do you go in with like rep ranges, or is it just like, you're gonna, just do this much weight and see what happens kind of thing?
Um, kinda. It's generally a case of like I'm aiming to get around 10. If I can get more than 10, fine. But usually not any less than 6 to 8. But aye,
So no heavy threes or anything for you then.
nah, I'd snap something in now, man.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that was going to be the question. Is it? I presume it's because it's fun doing 3 reps, but yeah, it's just a risk, right?
I've noticed since I hit 30, fucking everything's fallen off. So I have to be a bit smarter the way I train now. I can't go and try and do the dumb shit of I'll put an extra plate on and see what happens. You know
It's
what I mean?
it's got to be somewhat calculated. What does your split look like at the moment?
So we did push pull legs for years, and I think last year we've just kind of gone back to like a bro split. So Monday shoulders, Tuesday is quads, Wednesday back, Thursday we rest, Friday chest and biceps, Saturday hams, and then Sunday we rest again.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I think that's also kind of similar to what I'm doing as well. But with what do you prefer? Does it make a much difference?
Um, I don't know what I prefer, to be honest. Like, we done push pull legs for so long that it was just time for a change, if you know what I mean.
Uh, yeah,
Um,
mentally you do need to. You need to do the same stuff to progress, but also it comes a point where you can't just do the same stuff. But yeah,
mhm.
I totally
I
get
think I
that.
think sometimes when you split it down into the bro split, it's easier to focus a little bit more on weaknesses, which was kind of the idea behind changing it.
What are
But
you what are you trying to bring up at the moment?
my back,
Aye.
shit. But it's probably because I'm so tall, but I've also got high insertions in my lats. Like you don't see my back until I'm like 5 or 6 weeks out, and then it suddenly makes an appearance. So
Yeah.
hopefully it's better this year.
What are you doing anything different to try and like bring it up? Well, obviously you're doing a whole day that's just back, but like,
hmm Um, to be honest, probably I think Brad's like been changing the exercise selection slightly depending on what he's seeing in my back that he wants to bring up. So recently, I think he said he was happy with the thickness, but we needed a bit more width. So he changed the exercises slightly to try and bring the width up a little bit more.
yeah, no, that makes sense. I think with a lot of guys, you look really good from the front or you look really good from the back.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I mean, I definitely struggle with my back as well. It's a weird one. I don't know if it's just not being able to see it or, as you say, insertions or what, but yeah, it's just again another day in my life. Try to bring it back up.
I feel
Um,
that one.
nah, aye. So yeah, so the one of the I obviously met. I first saw you in Flexion at training with Brad.
Mm.
But you've done a lot of work recently with heavy duty gym wear.
Yes.
So shout out to Ollie. How did that kind of come about?
I think I've spoken to Ollie a bit on Instagram, and then it was when Ollie came up for Granite. Would have been last year's Granite, the year that Gaz done it. And obviously I had a stall at Granite and we met him and stuff, and then he was messaging us for a bit, and then he asked, a few weeks after, he asked me to come back on, and then not long after he got Gaz on as well. So
Nice. I mean, it looks pretty. it looks like it's going really well from the
Mhm.
outside anyway. I saw you were at least always doing a few kind of booths and that. Have you got plans to kind of travel about?
So I think there's a show in August. He's just told us he's getting a booth at. So I think it's Ant Bale's show in Durham.
Aye. Aye.
So I think I'm going to go to that one. And I think he's going to have a stall at PC British, which obviously I'm planning to compete at. So I'll be there as well. And we done Granite earlier in the year again. So
Aye, the Granite was good. His booth was good. That's where I got my t-shirt from. Um, but I mean, I can see. I mean, it's pretty obvious why you'd want you in part of the team. If you have you standing at a booth and it's gonna stick out at any expo. It doesn't really matter the size of anyone else there.
or scare everyone away.
Aye, exactly. But I mean, I guess it's part of the brand, right? It's a heavy duty gym wear, right? It's always putting on Limp Bizkit and smashing heavy weights, and you know,
Basically, yeah.
yeah,
Basically.
that's definitely one of the draws I've that more than like, it's not trying to be a pretty boy thing,
No, apart from
which
Gaz. He's the pretty one.
perfect. But yeah, well, no, I mean, how long have you known Gaz for as well, and how did that kind of come about?
I actually went to school with Gaz, but he's 2 years younger than me. So we never really, I've always known who it was, but we never really spoke. And then he came to Flex. It was actually round about lockdown. I can't even remember how it came about, but he just started training us, and then Brad started coaching him as well. So it
I
went from
we watched him absolutely fucking blow up as well. That was when he
Gaz has
was.
got the genetics. To be fair, he fucking looks at a dumbbell and he grows.
Uh, that would just be nice, man. That's
Mm.
yeah. No, it's really cool. I mean, yeah, to anyone listening, like, need to get along to Fletch in it, and you'll see these guys training. It's worth witnessing to
Mm.
show really what you need to do to pack on the macho size.
We actually shot some stuff for heavy duty this morning, so there'll be some new training clips coming out from that. 'Cause Jack came down to train with us this morning as well, so there'll be some content coming from that session. They trained chest.
How was it? How was it training with Jack?
It was good. Jack's still kind of on his reverse from competing, so he's supposed to be training at about 60-70% at the moment, so
All
I think
right,
we
okay.
pulled a bit more out of him.
Yeah, yeah. No, that's good because I mean he's also a guy who trains heavy and trains
Mm-hmm.
hard. And the kind of the lot of you are very not Instagram bodybuilders.
No.
So I mean how is I don't want to say is that intentional, but like how do you stay grounded in that when it's thrown in your face all the time, the current Instagram bodybuilding thing?
Uh, I mean, I don't like the whole Instagram side of it, if I'm honest. I think a lot of it's fucking fake, hey?
Yeah,
And like, I post a couple of pictures a year, if
yeah.
you're lucky, of updates. Half of the time, if I get a photo taken at a check-in, I just think it's shit anyway. So I'm like, I don't want to post that.
Yeah.
So every now and again, I might be like, well, that one looks alright, so I'll post that one.
Yeah, I think that's probably that's how it originally was anyway. Long before I was fucking doing it. But
Yeah.
what was I going to say? I find it. I do find it quite interesting. Kind of obviously some of the stuff you're posting on your story and that. I think it's quite entertaining and it is refreshing. But why? So obviously you're not doing it for social media, which is obviously the right fucking thing to do it
hmm
for. So why did you end up getting into bodybuilding if it wasn't via social media, which I think is how most people get into it nowadays.
I just enjoyed training. Like,
Yeah.
it just started as going to the gym. And there was a couple of guys in the gym who were bodybuilders who kind of gave us programs and stuff. And it went for there to then people saying, "Oh, you should try do a show." And then eventually I did a show. But I love the training. The
Yeah.
bodybuilding's a byproduct of that. Like, if you know what I mean. I don't train to compete. I compete because I train. And I enjoy competing as well, to be fair. I do enjoy the bodybuilding and being on stage and that, strangely, because I wouldn't have thought, if you said to me before, standing on stage in a pair of pants and fake tan, I'd have told you fuck off. But strangely, I do enjoy show day somehow.
Yeah, no, I'm the same. I like show day. I think it's good fun. For me, it's like until I get on stage, it's a bit like, I won't feel any nerves until right before I'm getting on.
No.
Like right before I'm getting on, I'll suddenly have that wee pang. But as soon as you're out there, I think it's great fun. Yeah. Yeah.
No, definitely. I've always enjoyed it, but I'm not the type of person that you would ever put on a stage. I wouldn't ever put myself on a stage, and most folk that know me would say that as well, but it's me getting on stage in tiny wee pants and enjoy it.
Aye. Well, I mean, it helps when you make everyone else look like children half the time, I'm sure. But no, that's yeah. I mean, that's the plan. Absolutely. What kind of do you want to get out of bodybuilding? Like, what is it that keeps you going? Is it just purely like because I mean, you could still train how you like training and not get on stage, right?
Mm-hmm. I don't know, actually. Like, oh, I'd love to win a pro card, obviously, but I mean, even if I do, I know I'm not going to do anything with it. So, I like pushing to get better, and you get on stage and you see how much better you've got.
Yeah, I got the feeling that was going to be your answer. I think there's something good feeling about just that you could do more.
Mm-hmm.
Like there's more there. Like for me, like I was actually listening to I think a Bash Bros podcast with Dan who we were chatting about earlier, but he said he'll stop when he gets on stage and it's worse.
Yeah, I agree with a lot of stuff Dan says, to be fair, and that's one of them.
That definitely resonated with me. Like,
definitely.
it's just the getting better is the addictive part, right? At least
I enjoy the
me.
process as well, even like prep and stuff as well. As shit as some parts of prep can be, I find it fun in a way.
No, absolutely. I mean that's a good pivot. Actually, got some questions. One was from Ollie at Heavy Duty, and he asked. It was a good question, Dory. He asked, "What was the one thing you genuinely find challenging on prep?"
Hunger.
Hunger.
I don't like being. I really fucking don't like being hungry. I get really fucking crab it when I'm hungry. So, the hunger's the hardest part for me, and probably controlling the mood swings that come with the hunger. Because I'm not the type of person to bite my tongue, and I sometimes will say things, and I fucking shouldn't have said that.
Yeah. Aye. I mean, it's interesting that you say hunger because you have to push your food big time. And do you think it's harder at like 320 pounds pushing food or at the end of prep when you're eating, like you won't be eating dust, but like
But
less?
this is the thing, I've got no fucking right to be hungry. At times the food, I think, like my last prep, I don't think my food dropped much under 5,000 calories. Maybe 4 at a push, so I don't really have a right to be hungry, but I was fucking starving.
It's all relative, like.
But I guess when it comes to pushing in the off season, I've learned better ways to manage my appetite, so it's a lot easier now than it has been in the past. Like, there's been times in the past, well, to be fair, probably most off seasons actually, when I'm eating a bulk during meals and stuff like that, but it's become more manageable. I don't know which I would pick, to be fair, because both are quite shit. But I could probably deal better with putting more food in than I can with being hungry.
Yeah. Are you hungry yet in this prep?
Rest day food is not low, but it's lower, and I'm beginning to get hungry on rest days. You know when I'm starting to get hungry because most of my oatmeals I'll just blend into a shake and I've started eating them, so I'm starting to get hungrier.
Yeah, and I can still dying on 5,000 calories. I fucking love food. Obviously, that's my biggest problem.
Mm-hmm.
I would. I can't imagine. Say that, and I bet I'd find it just as miserable. Like at the time, realistically.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but no, that's cool. But you said that you enjoy prep. So what's the best part about prep? It's not a question, but I'll just reverse the question around.
I like I like watching my body change, and especially like you know yourself in the last couple of weeks when things are almost changing daily, and your
Yeah,
coach makes these little changes, and you're like, holy fuck! Like I see that already. I don't know
aye,
that all fascinates me watching that happen in front of myself. Even to be fair, like obviously I've watched Gazzy's preps quite closely as well, and watching him I find it quite fascinating as well.
aye.
That's probably my favourite part is like that wee end period.
Yeah, it is interesting. And that's a good way of putting it. It's pretty mental seeing those details when they're coming through.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so see, I saw you posting that you're now doing some online coaching. I know you're not like pushing it really hard or anything, but is your plan to work with guys, getting them on stage, kind of thing?
I mean, to be honest, I've never been massively fussy to do coaching. Like a few folk have asked me, and then Ollie's kind of pushed me. I do. I really enjoy helping people
Aye,
when they can stick to it. But when you get somebody that's like, I couldn't eat my meals because my dog ate my spoon, and you're like, fuck off. Like, I can't be bothered with that.
aye,
Like, I'm a sparky to trade, and I enjoy my job. So, coaching, if I'm going to coach people, I want to enjoy it. So, I want people that are actually interested in doing it, if you know what I mean.
yeah. No, I definitely get that.
I mean,
Yeah,
Daryl did ask me to coach her for going on stage because I coached her before for all her off season, but I didn't really want to coach her for stage. If I was to prep somebody, I'd probably rather it was a male first than a female.
yeah, yeah. No, I think that's fair. I mean, she did really well this season. That was really cool to see.
Yeah.
Um, I also I don't even know how you would coach a girlfriend in an off season, let alone a prep. It just sounds like fucking a disaster waiting to happen.
To,
But loads of
to,
people do it. Like,
to be fair, mate, she is like your fucking perfect client. You're saying she does, and that is it.
yeah,
Like, so that is the reason that worked. More the reason for not wanting to prep her was just like, um, female hormones are slightly different, aren't they, as well? And it's like, I don't want to fuck it for her.
yeah, yeah. I think I have quite a lot of respect for that. To be fair, because I'm sure we both know plenty of people who there's enough horror stories out there. You don't want to be fucking about with that too much. Like that's
Exactly.
for sure. Um, yeah, and I mean, I totally get you on the coach in front of me now. Obviously, I've launched mine a while ago,
Mm-hmm.
and but I work another full time job. Like I work in IT security stuff, and
Yeah.
it's a good career. And I just do this on the side because I like helping people. It's fun. But fuck me when you get some guys that come on board that it's just all chat.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's like I'm doing this on top of working a 9 to 5 and doing my own bodybuilding. I've let people go for that reason because I'm like I
Mm-hmm.
can't. This is this isn't fun for me, and
No.
yeah, exactly.
It's not
Um,
your main sort of income, main source of income like it is for me. It's like, why? I didn't see the point in trying to help some, because I'm not really doing it for the money. Like, obviously, sparking makes me money, so the coaching is really about the money. If I'm going to coach someone, I want to enjoy it as well.
yeah,
And I
yeah,
do
absolutely.
enjoy it when somebody sticks to the plan and they do well. I enjoy that, but if I'm not going to stick to the plan, I'll give you the effort you gave me, you know what I mean? If you're not
Yeah,
interested, neither am I.
yeah, totally get that. No, that's totally fair. Um, Next question I was going to ask you was what is your go-to cheat meal? But I know you said that you're ordering an Indian tonight. Um, is that your go-to normally?
So, I love an Indian. Probably my two would be between pizza and Indian. But there usually comes a point in my preps where Brad will start throwing in tactical pizzas to fill me up. So I'm making the most of the Indian now before we maybe have to switch on to pizza.
Those are also my answers to that question. Like, yeah, I had a pizza last night. It was great. I haven't had one in a while. What?
There's something about pizza when I'm flat, it works really well, which we found out a couple of years ago. And I did a prep where I was eating pizzas nearly every 4 or 5 days to fill back up. I was fucking sick of pizza.
I mean, it must just be like that much carbs and that much salt. Just when you're that frame, like it's not like you're gonna spill off eating a pizza.
No,
No. I
no.
mean,
I love
it
pizza.
takes me about 3 days for my weight to come back to normal after a pizza. It's absolutely shocking.
There was
Yeah.
times where Brad was giving me a pizza and I was still dropping weight, and the next time it was like have a pizza and chips, and I'm like, I'm fucking full. I've not got space for the chips.
uh, what's your? Do you order the same thing at the Indian? And if so, what do you get?
I'll go between two because I like a bit of spice. It depends how much spice I fancy that night. So the Indian that I go to tends to be quite spicy. So I'll either get the garlic chili if I want to go really spicy, or a jalfrezi for a little bit less spice. There was actually a point during off season where I would admit when Daryl was on prep where I was eating a meal for two from the Indian myself. Because I couldn't choose what curry I wanted, so I got two and ate them
Uh,
both.
I was gonna say, like, how are you just getting like rice and uh and a main, or are you getting like naans and all that stuff on top?
Nah, so we always just get a set meal for two, so you get your rice, your naan, pakora as well. So I did once eat the entire thing myself, other than I didn't eat both rices. I ate
Yeah.
one rice, two curries, a naan bread, and all the pakora.
Does Brad normally keep them in prep like the whole way through, kind
So as of at the moment, they're still in. Uh, Usually, what happens is my Saturday cheat will get pulled, and then, as I say, it then usually will go into the pizzas as and when I get flat to fill me back up again, which isn't yet. So,
No, yeah, yeah. Where are you getting your pizza from?
um, since I moved to Bathgate, I haven't really found a pizza place I love yet, so can't really answer that.
Fair. You gotta find the right place, like.
Mm.
Um, all right, off topic of food because I'm getting hungry, as you can tell. So anyway, um, this is another question that came in from Instagram. What is your least favorite exercise? I'm going to split that into two parts.
Mm-hmm.
What's your least favorite exercise that you won't do because you think it's shit? And then what's your least favorite exercise that you do because you need to do
That I won't do because I think it's shit. And then with cuffs.
it? Thought you might say that. Fair.
Or a fucking one of these ones where they're trying to target their fucking bottom lat or whatever it is. I'm not into any of that.
Yeah, no, I've never seen you do anything along those lines.
No. And my least favourite exercise that I do because I have to, it would probably be a leg one. But then I also kind of enjoy it in a weird way.
Yeah.
Maybe a squat variation, either hacks or it's the love hate thing though, because I do actually enjoy it, but it's the dread before you do it, isn't it? I think.
Yeah, no, I'm exactly the same. Like, I hate leg days. Like, I don't look forward to them at all. But I also fucking love leg days because
Yeah,
it's brutal, isn't it?
it's no. I wouldn't say I quite get an anxiety before it. I'm not going to say that, but I dread them.
Aye,
Like we sit there at Flex when it's leg day, and I'm like, can't be fucked with this. But then when it comes to the end of it, that was fucking class.
aye. It's once you're in it, you're in it. But
Mm-hmm.
getting in it is, aye,
Getting
yeah,
started's the hardest part. The legs, I think, but aye, I do enjoy it.
yeah. Right. So last question, also an Instagram one was, what is, and feel free to not answer this if you don't want, but what is your favourite cycle you've done? You couldn't be Instagram without having a gear question in there. So
I don't know. Trend's always the most fun in it, but
Yeah.
at the same time, maybe not. When it comes to the one I use the most in my off season is just like test deca and mast.
Yeah.
To be honest with you, like I tried Primo, I didn't rate Primo that highly. I couldn't have bothered jagging fucking 7 mil a week, really.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's totally fair.
So I probably have to say test deca and mast just because it's like my go-to for off season.
Yeah,
Really.
like it's I like it's old school. You don't hear many people talk about Deca, but I mean, I guess why not? I mean, everyone does MPP and it's the same shit. But
See, I've done MPP, but then I do run my dosage quite high. So for that reason, I prefer a deca because there's less
less
injection
oil.
volume.
Aye.
And deca always makes my joints and shit feel great.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah. I think, and that's what you always hear. I think there is something to that, especially when you're smashing the weights that you are. Like, you need your joints to be feeling good.
Mm-hmm.
Do you change much up between prep and off season, or is it just like dropping Deca for train at some point?
This time we've started on EQ rather than deca. Tren will usually come in around 12 weeks out. We're also running a little bit of Winstraw and Anavar at the moment, just to it helps me keep my fullness a bit, but we're going to pull that out when Tren goes in and then put it back in again at the end.
Yeah,
But
that's fair.
yeah,
Yeah,
man, really fancy.
yeah. I don't think you need anything fancy. I mean, since
No.
I've been working with Hilly, I've been using a bit of EQ again and remembered how much I like it. I think it,
I
everyone has
like
something to work.
EQ, but it gets that bad name, doesn't it? Because of the blood thickening and all that shit. But I think if you
Yeah,
keep on top of it,
yeah, exactly. I just find taking a few health supplements and it doesn't seem to be an issue for me. So,
yeah, no, I'm the
um,
same.
yeah, I've put DHB in for the first time, which has been quite an interesting one. It's quite a exotic one, right?
It's
But
quite hard to get these days, is it not?
sorry.
DHB is quite hard to get these days, is it not?
It is, yeah, but there's a few places that do it. Quanta are doing it at the moment, which is where I've got mine, and it's pretty mental. Like it's quite seems to be doing the job. So the training seems to be particularly. It's kind of like being on trend, but not being on trend. Maybe it just is trend. To be fair, if it's hard to get. All right, that was the last question. So. And we've been done nearly an hour, so I'll let you go. But before we do, is there anything that you want to plug or say?
Um, just the heavy duty shit. Code for
Absolutely,
unit of flex. That's
yeah,
probably about it.
absolutely. Check it out, and obviously anyone listening needs to get to Flex Unit and train along there as well. Um,
Definitely.
no, thank you very much for joining me. At some point, I will definitely have you and Brad and try and jump into one of the sessions because it's something I think everyone needs to experience. Like if you've got the
Jump in
minerals
on a
for it.
leg day.
Yeah, exactly. I think that's the only one I could probably hang you guys on. Like, um,
Yeah,
yeah, the rest of it,
probably
no.
the worst one.
Yeah, exactly. No, I really appreciate it, mate. I'll end the recording here. Thanks everyone who's got made it this far. Really appreciate it. Go and check out Adam's Instagram, which is Adam Harding 90, and subscribe and all that kind of good stuff. Thank you very much, and cheers.
Cheers, mate.